I was looking at that map you sent over before we started, and I just found myself, scrolling around northern Sweden on Google Earth.
It's a very particular kind of landscape, isn't it?
It is. It's just this endless sea of pine trees. You zoom in on these tiny little roads, miles from anything that looks like a town, maybe, 10 houses in a 20-mile radius?
Completely isolated.
It feels that way. But then you turn a corner digitally. And there it is, a stadium.
And not just a patch of grass. A proper facility.
Exactly. I'm seeing stands, floodlights, fences, and the notes here say if you go there on a Sunday, that little road is just packed with 40 or 50 cars. There are hundreds of people eating sausages.
It defies all logic of population density.
It really does.
Yeah.
And that image, I think that really gets to the hook of what we're doing today, because when we talk about football leagues, the Premier League, La Liga, we're talking about global entertainment products.
Local brands, yeah.
But a pitch in a Swedish forest, that's something else entirely. We're looking at the Swedish Football League system.
Which I know on the surface sounds a bit dry. System.
Right. But looking at these documents, the official breakdowns, the historical data from the 1920s, it's not really a system. It's a labyrinth.
It is a labyrinth, but a meticulously organized one.
Of a very Swedish labyrinth.
Precisely. And our mission today is to figure out how a country with a pretty small population, 10 million people?
Oh, about that, yeah.
How they managed to organize thousands of teams across 10 different levels of play. We are going all the way down.
And we've got the official stats, which are just mind-boggling, but we also have these incredible personal accounts that really ground the data. We've got notes from a Stockholm local, a guy named Fabian Rusens, and this really fascinating story from a Ukrainian player, Anatoly Bondarenko.
Who came into this system as a total outsider.
Right. And what stands out from all of it right away is just the scale.
The sheer scale of it, yeah.
The sources mention a number that I had to check like 3 times, 2,510 teams.
That was the count in 2013, yeah. Over 2,500 active organized teams.
For a country of 10 million, if you do the math on that, the ratio of teams to people is just staggering compared to, say, the UK or the US.
It implies that almost every village, every little suburb has its own team. It's not just a sport. It feels more like a piece of civic infrastructure.
Okay, so before we get lost in the woods with the sausages, we should probably understand the architecture here. The pyramid.
You have to. You can't appreciate the chaos at the bottom without seeing the order at the top.
So let's start there. The Allsvenskan.
The Allsvenskan.
Yeah.
Which translates to the All-Swedish. This is the top tier, the elite. 16 clubs, established way back in 1924.
And you highlighted a statistic here that I think it's more impressive than any trophy count.
It's a statistical anomaly that gives you this huge aha moment about Swedish society. As of the 2024 season, the Allsvenskan has played 100 continuous seasons.
Continuous, as in no breaks at all.
No breaks, no pause.
Which shouldn't be possible. The 1940s happened. There was a pretty major global event.
Right. And this is where that context is so important. If you look at the history of, say, Italy's Serie A or the English First Division, you see these black holes in the record books between 39 and 45.
The leagues just stopped.
Of course. The stadiums were bombed. Players were sent to the front.
But not in Sweden.
Sweden maintained its neutrality during World War II, so while the rest of the continent's football infrastructure was literally crumbling, the Swedes just kept playing.
Wow. That continuity, that has to do something to an institution. If you never have to rebuild from rubble, you just keep refining things.
Exactly. It creates this very deep, unbroken administrative thread. The rules, the organization, it's been hardening for a century without a single interruption. That kind of stability is almost impossible to replicate.
There is one disruption they can't avoid, though.
Ah, yes. The weather.
The climate. Because I was looking at the schedule in the notes, and it just looks wrong to me.
Yeah.
Most big European leagues play autumn to spring.
August to May.
Which works fine in Madrid. It does not work in northern Sweden in January.
The ground is frozen solid. It's dark for most of the day. You'd be playing on ice.
Which is a whole other sport.
Right. So the Swedish season is flipped. They play spring to autumn. Kickoff is late March or early April, and they're done by early November.
Which must be a huge disadvantage for their teams in European competitions, right?
Oh, massive. Their teams are hitting the Champions League group stage when their domestic season is ending and the players are exhausted, or they're in preseason in February when the Spanish teams are in peak form.
But you can't fight the Nordic winter.
Geography always wins.
So that's the peak, the Allsvenskan. But as we drop down, this is where the The labyrinth really starts.
It gets messy and, frankly, a little bureaucratic.
We have the superettan below the top tier, which means super first,
Super first, yeah, that's the second tier. And below that, you have Etten,
which just means the one.
even though it's level 3.
Okay, hold on. That's so confusing. Why would level 3 be called the one?
It's the result of decades of tinkering. And the sources lay this out. It's actually kind of funny. Back in 1987, Division 1 was the second highest level.
Logical. Makes sense.
But then in 2000, they created the Superettan to be the new second tier, so Division 1 just vanished. Then in 2006, they brought Division 1 back, but they stuck it in as the third level.
It sounds like a committee was just moving sticky notes around a whiteboard for 20 years.
That's probably not far from the truth.
Yeah.
But despite the names, there's a really important line drawn at level 5. That's the structural break.
Right. The top 5 levels, that's about 288 teams, are all controlled nationally.
Centralized. It's the federal government of football. But once you drop below level 5, the system fractures.
It goes regional.
Exactly. It splits into all these regional associations. And this is where we find what I like to call the infinite base.
The infinite base. I like
Yeah.
that because the numbers just explode here.
They really do. You mentioned that 2,510 teams number. Most of them live down here. Just look at Division 6. It's level 8 in the pyramid.
Okay, level 8. Deeply amateur territory now.
Oh, yeah. But in this one division, there are 78 different subgroups across the country.
78 leagues within a single league.
And it varies. The notes point out one regional association, Västergötlands FF. Just in their Division 6, they have 9 subgroups with 101 clubs.
101 clubs in one region, in one division. It's industrial scale.
It is. But if that's impressive, Stockholm is.
Yeah.
It's a whole other level. An anomaly.
The Stockholm phenomenon. I saw these stats and I genuinely thought there was a typo.
The Stockholm's Football Verbund, been around since 1917.
The numbers are 60,000 active players.
60,000. And that's just registered senior players.
That's the population of a small city just playing football in Stockholm.
And get this, the source notes that this represents 24% of all sporting activities in the entire county.
Hold on. Let's just pause on that. You're saying 1 out of every 4 times someone in Stockholm does any sport, running, swimming, anything, they're playing football.
That's what the data says. It's not just popular, it's the default setting for physical activity. And that doesn't even count the 30,000 kids in the Youth Cup.
So practically, how does that even work? I'm looking at level 9 here, Division 7. It has 106 teams in Stockholm alone.
Organized into 12 subgroups.
Just think about the logistics of that. You need 53 fields all at the same time, every weekend. You need 53 referees. Someone has to schedule all that.
It's a logistical marvel. And it runs smoothly. It really speaks to that Swedish gift for organization, the IKEAification of sport.
But looking at spreadsheets is one thing. The reality on the ground, that's where the soul of this whole thing is. And that's where Fabian Rusens, our Stockholm local, comes in.
Yeah, Fabian gives us the view from the inside. He plays in this system. He knows the texture of it.
And he draws a pretty sharp line at level 4.
Right. He says level 4 is the cutoff. Above that, you might have semi-pros, some guys getting a bit of cash. Below that, strictly amateur.
So no one's getting paid.
Nobody.
Yeah.
Players, coaches, the person washing the kits, all volunteers.
So how do they survive? How do they pay for balls, for pitch rental?
It's a mix. Small local business sponsors, the neighborhood pizzeria. But mostly, it's membership fees.
Yeah.
The players pay to play.
That's really interesting because that feels more formalized than just, paying your subs for a Sunday team. You're a paying member of an institution.
And that membership buys you into a very specific culture. Fabian talks about the atmosphere at these games, and it's a huge cultural difference from, say, England or Eastern Europe.
The lack of hooliganism.
A complete lack of it, yeah. He calls it a restrained and family atmosphere.
Restrain. Now that is a very Swedish adjective.
It is. And practically speaking, that means no alcohol.
No beer at the max.
No beer. It's coffee, soft drinks, and hot dogs.
There's something really charming about that. A cold sundae, a thermos of coffee, and a hot dog. It sounds wholesome.
It is. But there's one detail Fabian mentions that actually really surprised me. The tickets.
Yes, this blew my mind.
Even in these amateur leagues like Division 2 and 3, you often have to pay to get in.
We're talking, 60 to 100 krona, about 6 to 10 euros.
Around that, yeah.
That is fascinating to me. In most countries, if you go watch your local town's amateur team, you just walk up to the sideline. If someone asked you for 10 euros, you'd laugh.
But there, people
Right.
pay it. And I think it validates the product. It says, this is an event. This matters. The
Yeah.
act of buying a ticket changes the whole relationship. You're not just a passerby. You're an audience member. You're supporting the club.
It gives it a certain dignity.
Exactly, a standardization of dignity even at level 4. Which brings us perfectly to our other source, because Fabian is used to all this, but Anatoly Bondarenko, he was thrown into the deep end.
Or the deep north, I guess.
The deep north, yeah.
So let's set the scene. Anatoly is Ukrainian. He's a player coach. In 2013, he goes to visit a friend in a place called Kramfors.
Which is way up there, about 400 kilometers north of Stockholm.
And his friend hooks him up with a local team, Bolsta IK.
In the tiny village of Bolstebrook.
And this team was not exactly a powerhouse.
No. They were in the 6th, League Level 6 nationally. And when Anatoly showed up, they were dead last.
So he jumps in, plays 5 matches, scores a goal, 4 assists, they win 1, draw 3, lose 1. And a pretty good cameo.
A very respectable contribution.
Sure.
But the stats aren't the real story. It's his reaction to the infrastructure. He was just shocked.
This is the story I was thinking about at the beginning, the Forest Stadium. Can you walk us through that?
So Anatoly is telling this story about traveling to an away game. They're just driving through this dense pine forest. He looks out the window and counts maybe, 10 or 15 houses total?
He's thinking we're playing in a ghost town.
He's expecting a mud patch with no one there. I mean, who would be?
But then they turn the corner.
And he sees the cars. 30, 40 cars parked along the road. They pull up to this stadium, which is a proper facility, again, and the stands fill up. 300 to 400 people.
In a village of basically nothing.
That's probably the entire population of the area. And they aren't just standing there. They're selling tickets.
The tickets, again, 5 to 10 euros to watch the 6th division in the woods.
They're frying sausages, selling coffee. It's a full match day experience in the middle of nowhere.
I just love that image. The smell of frying onions and pine trees. It just captures this whole model. It's not just that the game exists, it's that the standard exists everywhere.
He also mentioned the equipment. He said even though they were last in the 6th league, they had good match balls, training balls, cones, bibs, pro-quality stuff.
And the referees?
Paid.
Yeah.
Neutral. He specifically noted the officiating was objective, which is a big deal. In a lot of amateur leagues, you get a ref who's, the goalie's cousin.
Right, but here there's a professional standard, even for an amateur game. And speaking of professional, didn't he actually get paid?
He did, which sort of contradicts what we said earlier about it being strictly amateur.
Yeah, we said no salaries below level 4.
Technically true.
Right.
But clubs find ways. He mentions getting about 100 euros per game.
How do they justify that?
It's probably listed as, travel expenses or a per diem.
The classic loophole. Here's some gas money for your 5-minute drive.
Exactly. But it shows the club took it seriously. They held team BBQs. It sounds like a pretty great way to spend a summer.
There's one last trick Anatoly mentioned that I just have to share. The VIP trick.
This is so clever. And it connects the bottom of the pyramid right to the top.
So Anatoly has a UEFA coaching license. And apparently in Sweden, that's like a golden ticket.
It opens doors.
Literally. He says he never once bought a ticket to see a top-tier Allsvenskan match. He'd just show his license, and they'd wave him right into the VIP boxes.
That says something about the respect for the qualification, I think. It's the system recognizing its own. You're a coach. You're one of us. Come on in.
I love that contrast. One day he's playing in the woods for 100 euros. The next he's in a VIP box at a top-flight game. It shows that it really is all one big organism.
And that connection is the key, I think. If we zoom out and look at everything, the 100-year streak, the 101 clubs in one region, what are we actually seeing?
Yeah, what's the big takeaway? Is it just that Swedes really, really like football?
It's more than that. It's a model of, radical standardization. The websites for all the regional associations look the same. The structure is consistent. Whether you're in Stockholm with 60,000 players or in a tiny village up north, the expectations are high.
The grass is cut, the coffee is hot, the referee is paid.
The IKEA comparison sort of holds up. It's quality control applied to community spirit. It guarantees you're getting the Swedish football experience no matter where you are.
And it holds these communities together. I keep thinking about those volunteers Fabian mentioned, or the 400 people in the forest.
Right. In a place like Bolstebrook, that team isn't just a sports club. It's the social anchor. It's the town square. It gives people a reason to gather, a reason to volunteer, a reason to feel pride in their specific little spot on the map.
Which makes you think about how we value sports, globally. We spend 99% of our time talking about billion-dollar contracts in the Super League and global superstars.
We obsess over the very peak of the pyramid, the shiny object.
But maybe the base is what actually matters. So here's the question I want to leave you with today. In a world obsessed with the elite, is the true health of a football nation measured by its Champions League trophies? Or is it measured by the quality of the grass in a Division 6 stadium in a Swedish forest where 400 people are happy just to be there watching their neighbors play?
After looking at these files, I think we know the answer to that one.
I think we do. Thanks for listening to this deep dive. Go find your local team, pay for a ticket, even if you don't have to buy a sausage, and we'll see you next time.